The fallout from yesterday's gun control walkout continues, and I'm getting tons of emails from kids who feel like they were essentially discriminated against at these walkouts. I just got one from a kid who wrote to me and said that he wasn't intending on being political at this walkout. He waited until people brought out the gun control signs, then he brought out a Gadsden flag, and he was immediately shut down by his school. He was immediately told he had to put it away. This is not rare. I'm getting, again, tons of these emails on a minute-by-minute basis at this point. It's pretty astonishing and pretty shocking, and demonstrates once again that there are too many teachers across the country who think that they get to propagandize and use their students as these propaganda outlets. Now, not every teacher is in favor of this. In fact, there are many teachers who are not in favor of this. And there are lots of states like California where you have to be a member of a teachers union in order to teach. And if you are a member of a teachers union, you are expected to toe the party line. One of the close family friends of ours growing up was a guy who was a member of the teachers unions because he had to be, and he would constantly get the updates from the teachers unions, and they were all left-wing updates. This is a coordinated effort from the top, and it really is quite awful. One teacher has actually been suspended for questioning the gun control walkout. Her name is Julianne Benzel. And she says that she opened up a discussion in her classroom about the politics of the protest, and she was subsequently told to stay home on Wednesday because the administration didn't like it. Here's what she had to say on CBS 13 Local. This is in Northern California.
Julianne Benzel says she never discouraged her students from participating in National School Walkout, but she did question whether it's appropriate for a school to support a protest against gun violence if it's not willing to support all protests.
It's the best example I thought of at the time. If a group of students nationwide or even locally decided I want to walk out of school for 17 minutes and go in the quad area and protest abortion, would that be allowed by our administration?
She's, of course, exactly right. If the students decided to walk out and protest abortion, they would have no capacity to, none of the teachers would sponsor it, right? But because this is a national anti-gun walkout, all the students were expected to walk out. I've gotten notes from students who say that they wanted to stay in class because they didn't feel like creating a hubbub. They were just going to stay inside the school. And they've actually been getting notes from teachers, threats of suspension for staying in the school during the walkout. So it's really astonishing stuff. And it demonstrates once and for all that something really nefarious has happened at a lot of our public schools. And that is our public schools have become a tool for left-wing propaganda. Okay, they really have, especially in classes like social science, what they used to call history, but now they call social science. Those classes, or social studies rather, those classes have been taken over by the left. And this is why so many parents are pulling their kids out of public school and putting their kids in private school. They're saying you're not even doing a good job of ensuring that my kids are getting an education, but you can certainly ensure that my kids get to walk out of class and miss class in order to make a political statement that has nothing to do with their education. Because, of course, these kids can't vote. Their parents can. If their parents want to do something, they are free to lobby. Why these kids should be leaving school in order to do what they're doing is beyond me. It doesn't seem like it makes any sense at all. But again, these teachers are political actors, and teachers' unions are political activist schools of thought. That's what they do. If you look at just how teachers' unions work, the way they bargain with the state is they are basically democratic tools. And that was predicted long ago by Ludwig von Mises in his book Bureaucracy, talking about how any employee of the state ends up being a propaganda outlet for the state. And this is certainly true with regard to teachers' unions, because the way it works with teachers' unions is you want to support Democrats because if you elect Democrats, Democrats will then give you a cozy union payout. And that's the way that it works in the state of California, where the CalPERS system, for example, is bankrupting the state, where teachers have signed union contracts with the state. They give them these very, very rich pensions. And these pensions are trillions of dollars, unpaid trillions of dollars, at least hundreds of billions of dollars. And the state lies about it. And the state says, well, don't worry, we're going to pay out. We'll never have to tax people additionally because we're just going to have a certain growth rate in the CalPERS fund. None of that's ever going to happen. But again, if you're a teachers union, then this is all great for you. All you have to do is support Democratic policies and get Democratic politicians elected with all of the union dues that the teachers pay in. And the state mandates that you pay your union dues in order to work. So you have this guild, and this guild is mandated by the state. You have to work for the guild in order to work for the schools. And then the guild takes some of your money and pays those politicians to keep that system going, keep that rigged system going. And those politicians get to push legislation, and all they ask in return is that the teachers' unions push all of their ancillary causes, and that's what a lot of these teachers' unions are doing. It's really shocking and appalling. And again, most of these students who are walking out have no political bent one way or another. It's not like most of these students who are walking out are passionate about gun control. The vast majority of students who walked out probably have no idea anything about gun control. They probably don't know any facts about gun control. In fact, there are some students who are walking out just because they want to walk out and go do stupid things. Like this is film from Chicago. Students walked out and they proceeded to trash a Walmart for no reason.
Oh my God, look how they tore up our store. Vigilantes. Kids. She ran to the back room. I'm taking off my vest. Look at this. Oh my God. They got the noodle pallet. They gonna make us work today. Oh my God. Yes.
So these students charged into a Walmart and they upturned all the stalls. I like the security guards laughing about it. Well done, security guards. But it's just demonstrative of the fact that young people sometimes are stupid. This does not mean that all young people who walked out don't have any political knowledge. Some of them do. Some of them are politically active. Some who oppose my position, some who support my position, some who are in favor of Second Amendment rights, some who are in favor of gun control. But to pretend that all of these students are the wisest and fairest of all beings, they're the elves in our little morality play of Middle Earth, it's foolish, and it's not true at all, especially when you look at what actually happened in Broward County. So this video came out yesterday, and it really is shocking. It's video from Broward County of the sheriff's deputy, right? This is the on-school site deputy, and he obviously, first of all, does not look like he should be on school site security. One of the big problems that you see when you talk about in-school security is very often these are rent-a-cops. Very often these are people who could not pass a physical. These are people who could not run a block without losing their breath. This is not everybody who's a school deputy, obviously, but it is true for a certain number of them. And it is important that you have some people who actually are in good shape, know what they're doing. This guy I don't feel bad ripping on because you'll see in the video that they hear the gunshots. He takes off on his little golf cart to go over to the area where the shooting is happening. And then you'll see in the video, he stands around and does nothing for 20 minutes. Here's what it looked like when the Broward County Sheriff's Office released the tape. So you can see him. It's a silent video, so I'll narrate it. You can see him, and Scott Peterson, the BSO school resource officer, who looks like he's maybe in his 50s, and he drives over to the area where the shooting is happening, and then he proceeds to legitimately just stand outside the building. He's just standing around outside the building doing nothing. I mean, it's an amazing thing, right? And there's part of this video that we cut out where you can actually see students fleeing the building through another one of these doors. Does he charge in? Does he do anything? No. And according to the Broward County Sheriff's Office, the orders that are given to their officers are that if there is an active school shooting, you are supposed to engage. You are not supposed to stand outside. So the talk about how these guys were told that they were supposed to stand outside, how that was the policy of the department, that was not true. So there's one problem with the department with regard to policy, and that is this policy that says we're not going to arrest anyone because we don't want to increase the arrest statistics on students. We want to show that our students are doing really well, and so we'll just pretend that no crime is going on. But this one looks like it was on Scott Peterson and not on the Broward County Sheriff's Office, per se. Nonetheless, this is not stopping the agenda from rolling forward. Mika Brzezinski over on MSNBC, she says the NRA should be sued.
Some things have changed, at least in the state of Florida.
The NRA, with their inflammatory ads and threatening ads, should be sued and force them down. That does it for us this morning.
Okay, on what grounds should the NRA be sued? In order for you to sue somebody, you actually have to have legal grounds. There actually has to be a legal purpose for the suit. Otherwise, it'll be thrown out. But according to so many people on the left, lawsuits happen when you're angry at something. So you don't like the NRA's ads, you get to throw it out. Okay, the NRA was not responsible for this shooting. One of the most astonishing things I saw yesterday was Code Pink calling for an end to funding for JROTC on campus. They're saying, well, we don't want campuses militarized. We need to stop funding JROTC. There were 3 kids who were killed who were members of JROTC, and one of those kids actually threw himself in front of bullets to save other kids. While this idiot cop was standing around outside doing nothing, one of these students, a 15-year-old, he ran out there and he tried to stop the shooter, right? He got in the way of the bullets. He saved his students. He died in the process. And Code Pink is saying we should get rid of JROTC. Again, the big problem with evil is that evil cannot be prevented simply by legal mechanisms, usually. Evil can only be prevented by good people. It can only be prevented by good people doing the right things. And unfortunately, the left does not want to recognize the real possibility of human evil. They're just not interested in recognizing that possibility. It's pretty horrible. So, meanwhile, President Trump is embracing this new bill, the school safety bill, and the school safety bill really does not have much gun control attached. So everybody on the left is, of course, very upset about that. They thought that President Trump was going to break the impasse on gun control. That, of course, was never really going to happen. Here's what's in the school safety bill. So it passed the House. It has the support of a wide variety of senators. And it doesn't do anything about gun control per se, but it does do some things about school security. So there is no parallel measure pending in the Senate. Right now, they're trying to push gun control in the Senate, of course, but that's not going to happen. This bill is instead a bill that doesn't allow, that is seeking to increase security at schools. So it does not allow any of the funding that's going to be given for school security to be used for arming teacher or other school personnel. The White House wants that restriction lifted, but the bill itself is filled with some measures that are designed to ensure that this stuff doesn't happen again, or at least that there is better security on campuses funded by the federal government. So the school safety bill, let me bring up the actual provisions of the bill right here. So the school safety bill let's see, it passed by an overwhelming margin, by the way, in the House of Representatives. It has not yet been brought up, as I say, before the Senate. Again, all the people on the left are very upset because they think the only measure that can be taken here is going to be gun control. But it steers clear of the demands of gun control advocates. Let's see, I'm just looking for all of the provisions. Unfortunately, my internet just went down a little bit. But here it is. It is the Stop School Violence Act. It provides $50 million a year for a new federal grant program to train students, teachers, and law enforcement on how to spot and report signs of gun violence. It also develops anonymous telephone and online systems where people could report threats of violence, and authorizes $25 million for schools to beef up security in ways such as installing new locks, metal detectors, and panic buttons. Okay, so this is a good start. Okay, White House Democrats overwhelmingly supported the school safety. House Democrats overwhelmingly supported the school safety measure, according to The Hill, but they say this doesn't do enough. Republicans say this is only beginning. This is the first steps. And, okay, these should be the first steps. Obviously, I think that the states should actually take precedence here. I'm not sure that the federal government should be leading the way on any of this stuff in the first place. But I think that it is pretty clear that the school safety bill should pass.